Hi, I'm Stephanie Hansen. I'll try this video thing one more time and see if this one will load. According to the research that I found for Chapter 7 and 8, to ability grouping or tracking, first off, our school does not use ability grouping or tracking. We may for small things in our classroom, like stations or learning stations, but it's not a permanent fix and we don't do it every day. It's just with different topics we're learning. And our school doesn't do walk to read or walk to math or any of those. I know a school in the community has that, probably about an hour away from here, but a lot of the other little schools, we aren't a strict ability grouping or tracking schools. We typically do collect data and base it off of different series of test scores, but these kids are not tracked and targeted in different areas. In my first article that I found by Sonoli Coley, and it was talked about modern day segregation in public schools, and it's some of the teachers have to recommend students to qualify for a higher level education, and these parents were of African American, and their economic status wasn't possibly as high as the other. However, their daughter's criteria for testing met the same criteria as the other kids that were receiving higher level education classes, but she just did not get recommended by a teacher. And so that was happening in some of those larger schools in the South, according to this article, that you could walk down the hallways of the school and look in the different classrooms and you could tell whether it was a higher level education class or not due to the color of students in the classroom. So I guess that's where that modern day segregation came from. I do not agree with that at all. I feel like there should be some type of data criteria built, so then that way if kids of whatever status qualify, it's based on their data or the criteria off their test, and then all those kids are notified and offered the same opportunity throughout the school, no matter what grade or their levels are or who their parents are. So I think that article also focused on other things. Are we trying to make too many different groups to have so many different levels of kids? Are we spreading educators too thin to try to cover multiple groups? Have we built too many groups to cover? So that was another thing this article brought up, that we have like so many kids in this little group and then we're not able to provide the service needed for those kids to be successful, or we're just touching the tip of the iceberg with them, so to speak. So that was off my first article, Modern Day Segregation in Public Schools. I think it could be done differently in that situation of that school system, so then everybody's getting a fair chance. My second article, it was on best practices in education, and talked about the past of how in the past students who were able to test on a higher level were typically the kids who went on and got a 4-year degree or higher, and they were the most successful. And then the kids who typically couldn't test well went to vocational school and did more of a hands-on type of job for the rest of their career. However, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that we need to give all kids a chance and let them understand what skills they can have or can reach out to learn. I think it's important for kids to have opportunity to learn different things just because of the line they came from in their family. Like, my dad does this, but they don't necessarily want to do what their family does. I think we need to open some avenues or doorways for kids who maybe have a one-track mind, or maybe their families are a one-track mind style family and they believe that that's the only door for their kid. So it really focuses on giving opportunity, according to Cooper, the author of this article of best practices in education. So giving kids opportunity and chances to try new things or learn about themselves so they even know what they could do or can do and where they can go from there. And my final article talked about positive and how ability grouping is working in their school, and there's different ways to do it, and then kids are not stuck in a one track. Like, just because they're qualified or they meet a criteria to be in a certain area, that doesn't mean they're there forever. And I think that's very important, because tracking and ability grouping used to stick on students and be like a target. And so I think it's important from the author of Sorting Kids at School, is, according to Baker, that it's a fluid, temporary classroom setting, and things are always moving, people are always changing, and it's not a solid, consistent, you're always with the Blue Jays or you're a Cardinal forever. Like, you might be put in a small reading group to help you establish some skills, and then once you start gaining in that area, then you move up. So it is important that if you are going to use tracking, ability tracking or grouping, whatever, that you use it in a successful manner and not to penalize kids. So however, our school isn't using it. I think it can be used efficiently, but I think it's going to take a lot of time and diligence and planning and having everybody on board to help carry out the process. Overall, I do think it's great that people want to be aware of their kids' test scores or their students' test scores, but I think there's successful ways to do it and carry process of tracking out. So overall, I think that in smaller schools you'll probably see the continuance of trying to meet state standards and closing the gap, but my goal for our school is to increase our gifted program to allow those students who need extra push to get them at their or challenge them at their next level. I guess that's my goal, and I hope to take that to our next staff meeting.